Speak X language, this is X country. My friend, who is Vietnamese, gets told speak English, you're in America. All the dang time. It got quite annoying to him, so he eventually decided to do something about it. He looked up the Native American tribe whose tribe was originally on the land where he lives, went to the tribe's cultural center, told the elderly grandma working there he was tired of being told to speak English in America, and had her teach him how to say white person / outsider / non-native in the language as well as some other curse words and whatnot. Apparently, this made that Native American granny's week, because she went all out and really taught him quite a lot. And ever since any time some racist tells him to speak English in America he says, well, why don't you speak Native American tribe's language, we're in Native American tribe's lands. You dang Native American word for white person. The shocked Pikachu.jpg face he gets in response never gets old. They completely freeze up for a few seconds, before responding in entertaining ways such as gasping for air or pointing their finger angrily or just turning and walking away lol. Eventually the word spread among my group of friends and quite a few of them, who as immigrants, or even just people who speak a second language, occasionally also get told this, are always chomping at the bit to get their chance to use this response. Every time some of them finally does they immediately announce it to everyone they know lol, and it really never gets old. Anyway, I didn't really know where to post this but felt it matched here well enough, hopefully, as it takes the racists' logic and returns it right back to them in a way that really rustles their jimmies. What ways have any of y'all flipped the script on racists?
Now to the comments. My mom and I worked at the same call center. My mom speaks Spanish fluently but mine isn't that great because I fell out of practice. They kept trying to schedule me to take Spanish calls at work and the Spanish supervisor would always insist I was better at Spanish than I thought. One day she confronted me in front of everyone and said, I know you can speak Spanish. I had been taking Spanish classes at the local community college to brush up, so I said, yeah, I've been practicing. All enthusiastically, and I launched into these basic phrases we used for practice in class, but I did it with my most heavy-handed American accent and without stopping for responses. Hola. Me la moipsi. Donde está la casa de Pepe? Cuentos anos tienes? Cuentos tomates? Que hora es? Mi pingüino es muerto. Mi burro es moreno. She stopped asking me after that.
Lold it mi pingüino es muerto. Since it's such a common error among beginners.
My penguin is death. I worked in a cardiology office with 6 cardiologists. One of them had the first name Mohammed, though he preferred Mo. Being an office where the clientele was mostly old men, we'd get quite a few patients who weren't fond of seeing any doctor who didn't look like them. A patient who adored me and spent lots of time charming me with stories and jokes was transferred to him when his cardiologist was retiring. After his visit he wasn't too happy and asked me, where is that slur from anyway? I don't want to see any foreigners. I replied, he's from Arizona, I'm the only foreigner in this office. He was respectful after that and we ended up keeping him with this doctor. When I left the practice, I believe he even begrudgingly liked him.
I'm Polish, and I've been in Texas long enough I can talk like a native Texan. My wife has not been here nearly as long, and she has a noticeable Polish accent. I've had people talk about immigrants to me, complain about them taking jobs or whatnot, badmouth them and use slurs. I will always say, I'm an immigrant. I mean illegals. I was an illegal immigrant. I came on a vacation, and overstayed because of martial law in Poland because I couldn't go back. I'm here legally now because of Reagan's amnesty. You can see the thought going through their brain that they won't, if they're smart, say. But you're white.
I feel that last bit. As a white English-speaking immigrant, I only get found out when they notice my accent isn't quite right. I'm Canadian, we say sorry and sorrow as if they are related to the word sore, not as if they are from a woman's garment worn in places like India among other things. Then I get, oh but you did it the right way. I'm still an immigrant. I still feel it when people slag on us. My father, American, had a Scottish co-worker. Someone asked him how long has he been in America. He said 6 weeks lad. He said wow. You speak really good English.
After a Scottish referendum, the Scottish people have spoken. Did anyone understand what they said?
I have a friend who got told off for speaking Irish to her son. In Dublin.
Dang Irish, they ruined Ireland.
Dang Dubliners, they ruined Ireland. Was a long time ago, and I was a rookie holiday rep in Greece. The local male staff in the hotel were little shits to me, telling me that certain Greek words meant this and that when of course they didn't, and the resultant angry shouting at me by mature locals would irk me big time, after innocently using said words. So, I asked another older staff member to teach me a phrase to these boys so that they could see I would not stand for it any longer. After a week of constant practicing, and them trying to persuade me that more words meant this and that, I nonchalantly let out the phrase, you guys all have the tiniest dicks in the world. Silence, then a huge amount of laughter. They never taught me shit again and became firm friends. Little shits.
I wanted to ask a Brazilian girl to freshman homecoming, so I asked my grandfather to teach me how. I can't remember what he told me to say, but what he told me was, I want to remove your panties with my teeth. She did not go to homecoming with me.
Grandpa knew exactly what he was telling you. My husband speaks Polish fluently. His parents came here after the war, so he is completely bilingual. He has a slight Brummy accent, so no one would think he could speak another language as he was thick. Anyway, he was in quite a high position at a national hotel group, and he was in the staff room filling out paperwork, and the chambermaids, bar one, were Polish. These Polish girls hated the English chambermaid and were calling her some awful names. They left the room and she started to cry as she knew she was speaking about her. He told her he'd deal with it, so the next thing 5 of them are dragged into the general manager's office, and the GM asked them if they had been meaning, putting it politely, about this girl. They all denied it, so my husband spoke in Polish and repeated what they'd called her, told them he'd heard better at the dockyards and they were a disgrace and it was bullying and harassment. They went white as they didn't realize he could understand them. He got them all written up, and as he was there for about a week, they did their best to avoid him, so he went out of his way to check their work, make sure they were acting appropriately, and to make sure the English girl was okay. One of the Polish ones said he was only doing it because they were Polish, to which he replied, if 5 English girls were calling you a ducking cunt, I would LD have stood up for you too, but you started this by being a witch, and as my wife says, play witch games, get witch prizes. Thanks Reddit for that gem. And he gave the English girl his number and said to ring him if they start on her, but not overtly, so he could hear without them knowing. The following week 3 were fired for misconduct as they threatened her. The 2 lefts were a lot more pleasant, and it appears they were only following the ringleader as they were scared. The police had to be bought in as threats to kill, etc. It all got messy, but eventually he managed to get decent chambermaid of different nationalities, and he told them he needed to learn a word of their language a day. So every day the GM would meet with them before they started servicing the rooms and did his best. Some of it is very hard, but it really made a difference as they felt valued and part of a team, and the working life a lot better.
Your husband is a true gentleman.
He is. The company is working for 5s, points out for mistakes, etc. And as he was walking past 3 of them, they said in Pollock, there's the wanker in charge. He replied, I am the wanker in charge and I can give you points for that, so be warned. Then once they realized he spoke Polish, he had to do all the toolbox talks, HS talks, etc. in Polish, as they employed a lot of Polish. I laughed and told him it serves him right for answering them. The funniest thing ever, I sobbed with laughter, was when we were on holiday in Turkey. 2 ladies came down dressed in what I wouldn't even wear to a nightclub, full makeup, etc. They were sat by us and they were giving all the men marks out of 10. They gave my husband a 7 and I was honestly crying with laughter as he was not impressed. He said he could cope with an 8 but a 7. When we were leaving he said to them in Polish, I deserve more than a 7, and stomped off. I was crying. For anyone who hears this in Minnesota/North Dakota/South Dakota, the Lakota and Dakota word for white person is pronounced washichu. It translates to takes the fat, because white people would take the best parts of the meat when eating with others. While this word is frequently reserved for white people, anyone can be a waisako, as the word refers to greed, not skin color. A friend who is Sikangu Lakota describes waisako as a disease that causes people to think of themselves before others and that anyone can be infected with it. If you are in Ojibwe country, Minnesota, Wisconsin, North Dakota, among other states, the word for white person is pronounced chamok aman. It translates to man with a knife because, well, you can probably guess why.
Washichu oh hey, so that is what the Sioux lady starts shouting when Dunbar approaches the camp for the first time and dances with wolves.